I now call upon the student representative, Kayode Damali, to respond on behalf of the student body. Kayode.
Good start then. So it just had to be done. I mean, I'm surprised none of you guys did it actually, but anyway. Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, fellow graduates, family and friends. As Vice President over the last 12 months, I'm absolutely honoured to be here today to deliver the student vote of thanks. And graduates, I know you guys have benefited so much here from your time at MMU, and I think that a graduation ceremony like this is a wonderful climax to the end of your academic careers. And I know this because I was in fact in the same shoes as you guys last year. And you guys probably had nicer shoes than me because last minute, right, I had to wear my dad's. But I'm joking, at least I get to wear this hat again to cover my bad haircut. But like I said, I know what some of you guys today were thinking. Some of you guys today were thinking, when am I going to be next? Or, I've never clapped so much in my life. Or at least I didn't fall down the steps. But first things first, let's give thanks to our friends and families, because deep down, they know for us which is actually best. But as I look up on the balcony and see the faces looking back at me, I can see what some of you guys are thinking too. Some of you guys right now are thinking, how much is a car park going to cost? And some of you guys are thinking, wow, this seat cost me 11 quid. Or some of you guys are thinking, you know what? I didn't mind waiting 3 hours to see a proud 4-second moment of my kid. But really and truthfully, it's only you guys down below who actually know all the hard work, effort and sacrifice that you actually did. Like I'm talking about those late night shifts in Brock, then rushing in the morning to hand in your work to that blue bin in the SIP. But let us embrace this proud moment. Let us embrace this proud moment, because these moments don't last. And if you don't believe me, you can just go and ask our England captain, Steven Gerrard. But let us not laugh at our boys back in Brazil, because deep down, they actually tried very hard. And we still got one more important vote of thanks to give before we can actually depart. So let us give thanks to all of our different academic as well as non-academic university staff who have worked hard, non-stop, around the clock to help each and every single one of you guys along your MMU paths. So as alumni, make sure you keep in touch because they really appreciate that. But despite them sometimes setting you work that made you feel like you was kept under pressure, the fact that all of you guys are here today suggests that you've been able to battle, persist, and thrive through the stormy weather. So for that, today you've been rewarded with your degrees, and now you can leave this room, go out there and make your lives better. But before you do, like a wedding, let's all be gathered here together to never forget, but to always remember our class of 14. Like those before us, you guys can now also scream the words, MMU Cheshire. It's been a pleasure. My name's Kayode Damali. I'm a mum and dad's son. I hope you guys enjoy your evening celebrations when you go out there to shake a leg or flick an ankle. And I'll see you guys later.
Well, thanks, Kayode. I'm glad you've stuck to the script. I know one or two people worried you might deviate just slightly away from the script that I wrote, which I'll send you later. Well done. Spoken from the heart, and all the better for that.
Pro Vice-Chancellor, it gives me very great pleasure indeed to call upon Kayode Damali to give an address to our students. Kayode Damali is an accredited professional speaker, member of the Global Speakers Federation, media personality, and a graduate of Manchester Metropolitan University. Kayode graduated from Manchester Met with a first-class honours degree in Psychology of Sport and Exercise. In 2014, his final year project research on motivation and self-belief was published. Upon graduating, Kayode was elected Vice President of the Students' Union and student nominee on the Board of Governors. Kayode was elected as Director of the National Union of Students before embarking on his career as an entrepreneur, where he has been listed in the top 10 of the most powerful young entrepreneurs in the world. As well as his business endeavours, Kayode volunteers on projects that give young people opportunities to engage with reading, social activities, and the prevention of offending. Please welcome Kayode Damali to the lectern.
Pro Vice-Chancellor, members of the university, graduates, what's going on? And our friends, guests and family up in the balconies. It's very high up. I hope I don't look too small, you know. I'm actually like 5'10", 5'11" on a good day, but anyway. My name is Kayode Damali. I am my mum and dad's son. And I'm proud. In fact, I was going far to say that I'm honoured to be here today to deliver this graduation speech. And the reason why I say that's an honour for me to be here today is twofold. Two reasons. Firstly, because as you now know, I came to MMU myself, started in 2010, graduated in 2013. But if you knew what my life was like before I came to MMU, you would understand why I say that this university generally changed my life. And it'll always have a place in my heart. Now, I don't know whether that's by the aorta or the ventricles or the atrium. I don't know where around the heart, but it's definitely in the heart somewhere. So if you're anything like me and proud to be part of this beloved university, or if you're proud to be graduating today, please make some noise up in Bridgewater Hall and give yourself a massive round of applause. Woo! And I have to say, let me quickly digress. I have to say, I was sitting there admiring, you can tell this is an art graduation. I was admiring some of your shoes and your outfits walking across the stage. It's actually amazing. But anyway, the second reason why I say that's an honor for me to be here today is because I realized that it's been 7 years. It's been 7 years since I was last stood in this exact same spot, delivering the graduation speech to the 2014 graduation. And with yourselves being the 2021 graduation, that's 7 years. So shouts out to Rachel who invited me here today. And I remember when I got the email, I was sitting there thinking, Raz, it actually been 7 years since I was last doing a graduation speech for MMU. And I began reflecting on what are some of the key lessons or some of the key takeaways that I can share with you today. I think reflecting is always good to do, reflecting on your day or your year or whatever. And as I was sitting there reflecting about my last 7 years, I became a bit concerned. I began being a bit worried. I didn't know whether I should ring my GP or maybe ring my mum, because I was thinking, am I maybe part dog? Or am I maybe a part canine? Because I kid you not, these last 7 years has literally felt like 1 year. Time has absolutely flown by. And I still feel exactly the same. I still got the same suit, well, different suit, but the same tie. I'm still Kayode, I'm the same guy. I still keep it real and remain fly. And in fact, I still got the same dead beard from 2014 as well. So to quickly digress, if anyone can teach me how to grow a beard for the next 7 years, because this is a bit pathetic, don't you think, for 7 years? However, in terms of the experiences and lessons that I learned along the way over these past 7 years, nah, I am not the same. Far from it. In fact, it's Muhammad Ali who once said that the man at 50 who views the world the same as he did when he was 20 has wasted 30 years of his life. Now, of course, I'm not 50, but if I was to put it in my shoes, if I viewed the world the same when I was delivering a 2014 graduation speech as I am today delivering a 2021 graduation speech, I would have wasted 7 years of my life. What was that, sneeze or? So no, I'm not the same in that sense. So over this short time that we have together today, I want to share with you one vital lesson that I've learned across these last 7 years. That if you grasp it today, I promise you that when you graduate and leave these doors in Bridgewater Hall, I promise you that you're going to be able to save yourself energy, You'll be able to save yourself resources, but most importantly, you're going to be able to save yourself time, which, as we know, is a commodity that when it's once spent, that we can't get back. So I encourage you to shake it out, sit back, relax, fasten your seatbelts, and get ready for the flight. Now, if I gave you a choice, would you rather do a bungee jump or a skydive? Now, they're both similar in a sense that they start off mad high up, like our people in the gallery right now, who think I'm like 5'1". They're both similar in a sense that they start off high. They're a high-thrilled adrenaline event before going down. But the distance between the two are very different. Now, a lot of people know me as for being like a professional speaker. I guess that's cool. I've got no qualms with it. I was on The Apprentice, in a big BBC One show. They had me down as a professional speaker. So a lot of people knew me as that. That's cool. I ain't got a problem with it. That's cool. But what a lot of people don't realize is that I actually ran an events business. It started in 2014 when I was 22 years old. And in fact, coming to Bridgewater Hall today reminded me, I had events in such a situation whereby I'd be in different places around the world and still having events going on in the UK. I would have been in Sydney, Australia. I still had events going on in the UK. I remember one time I was in Pennsylvania in America. I still had events going on in the UK. So they're very successful in that sense whereby, won awards, got put in a newspaper and stuff like that. And basically how we kind of operated was that we would sit down, plan the event, run the event. Sit down with the team, okay, what should we do now? Okay, plan the event. And that was the routine over and over and over again. However, despite the success on paper, we had one massive flaw. We had one massive issue that was stopping us from being the best that we could be. And that is, we had a short-term way of thinking. Or what I like to say, we had a bungee jump way of thinking. And in fact, scratch that. When I say we, really and truthfully, I should be saying I. Because like they say, the fish stinks from the head down. I was the person in charge. I was the person responsible. So I had a short-term way of thinking. I had a bungee jump way of thinking. And what do I mean by that? Kayode, what do you mean by bungee jump way of thinking? Great question if you're wondering. Bungee jump, what's it like on a bungee jump? You start high, you come back down. You got to go back up again, and then come back down. Then you got to go back up again. Maybe not all the way up, but you still got to go back up before coming back down. And that's it over and over and over again. Whereas in contrast, skydiving, there's more longevity behind it. There's more sustainability behind it. You can keep going for longer. So what's the issue having a short-term bungee jump thinking versus our long-term skydive way of thinking? Or think about it. When you think short-term and do things short-term, you got to do things over and over and over again. You got to keep that hamster wheel going. And as they say, short-term thinking, that produces short-term results. Whereas on the other hand, long-term thinking, that produces us long-term results. And that's what we want to be aiming for. We want our results to pay dividends for us on the long run. That's the key massive difference between the two. Now, that's not to say that short-term thinking doesn't have its place. Yeah, of course it does. I don't know whether you want to do the ratio, maybe 90% long-term thinking, 10% short-term, or 80% long-term. However you want to do the ratio is up to you. But the main thing that we need to make sure that we do, the main thing that we need to make sure that happens is that whatever we do in the short term needs to be consistent with the results that we want to happen in the long term. That is the key element that I learned over the last 7 years, potentially the hard way. That is the key thing. And it's that deep for me now, this new way of thinking over these last 7 years. It's that deep for me now that I don't even care. I don't even care too tough. Maybe one tough or maybe half a tough. But I don't really care too tough about short-term results anymore. Yeah, they're cute. I might go on Instagram, see someone post up a short-term result. I might give it a like, or maybe a thumbs up emoji, or maybe an aubergine emoji. Okay, I'm not going to give it an aubergine emoji. Kayode, you can't be doing that. Imagine you graduate today, you post up on Instagram, and then you see me put in an aubergine emoji. I'm not going to do that, don't worry. But I don't even care too tough about the short-term results because anyone can have them. I've had them. But the issue when you have short-term results is that quickly come, quickly go. Easy come, easy go. So I'm not even impressed too tough about the short-term results. I'm more impressed now about the longevity and the consistency rather than the short-term flash-in-the-pan victories. That is the difference, what impresses me now. And I know sometimes we might think, wow, Kayode, you really just want us to focus on the long term? You want us to focus on the next 7 years? Well, what's that going to get us to? What, 2029? Damn, I hope I still look 2020 fine. I don't know. But yes, I know sometimes it's hard to focus on the long term. But it's like Bill Gates said, shouts out to Billy. Can I call him Billy? Well, shouts out to Bill Gates. He said that, and I'm paraphrasing, right? Because he uses the term 10 years. Well, I want to bring it to my theme of 7 I've got going on. But Bill Gates said that most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year, but underestimate what they can achieve in 7 years. So focusing on the long term is something you can do over this next 7-year period. And now as I close, as I mentioned, if you take my word for it as well, think about it, does it not make the most economical sense as well to focus on the long term? Like, if you're going to be putting in effort in regardless, right? Think about it. I know you're going to be graduating and putting in effort when you leave this room anyway, right? Because I know for the fact that to get here, you have to put in effort. So if you're going to be continuing putting in effort anyway, right? Does it not make the most economical sense if that time's going to pass for your effort to last long term rather than short term, have to do things over and over and over again? Like, it's just crazy the way my mind has now changed over the past 7 years. So anyway, as I close, the next 7 years for you, the time is going to pass. How you choose to spend your time over the next 7 years is down to you. Unless you're anything like what happened to me on the weekend. I was in my bathroom and I broke a mirror. So maybe my next 7 years are full of bad luck. I pray to God, please touch wood, it doesn't happen. But anyway, the next 7 years for you, you are going to arrive. But the question is, where? Now, as they say, the bad news for you is that the time is going to fly. But the good news is that you are the pilot. You get to choose how you spend your time over these next 7 years. Now, I've been your pilot, Kayode Damali speaking. You can now unfasten your seatbelts because our flight MMU 2022 has now arrived at destination graduation, where the success of your dreams is now only limited to your imagination. Gracias por escuchar. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Kayode, inspiring us all.
Vice-Chancellor, it gives me very great pleasure indeed to call upon Kayode Damali to address our graduating students. Kayode Damali is an accredited professional speaker, member of the Global Speakers Federation, media personality, and graduate of Manchester Metropolitan University. Kayode came to university through clearing and went on to graduate with the first-class Psychology of Sport and Exercise degree. In 2014, his final year research project on motivation and self-belief was published. Upon graduating, Kayode was elected Vice President of the Students' Union and Student Nominee on the Board of Governors. Kayode was elected a Director of the National Union of Students before embarking on his career as an entrepreneur, where he has been listed in the top 10 of the most powerful young entrepreneurs in the world. As well as his business endeavours, Kayode volunteers on projects that give young people opportunities to engage with reading, social activities and the prevention of offending. Please welcome Kayode Damali.
Vice-Chancellor, members of the university, good to see you again. Students, graduates, how y'all doing? Love it, man, love it. Honestly, some of you guys brought the energy. I was so jealous. I want to graduate with you. Honestly, I was enjoying it from down there, I'm telling you. And our friends, guests, and families up in the balcony. How y'all doing? Everyone good? Good. Again, even though this is the last ceremony of the day, you guys definitely brought the energy. Like, every time I heard a cheer, I'm like, where is that coming from? Like, almost gave myself whiplash. So I'm glad there's nurses in here because that almost went very wrong. But anyway, my name is Kayode Damali. I am a mum and dad's son. And I'm proud to be speaking today during a graduation speech. And this is actually my second one of the day. I did one this morning, so this is my second one of the day, which is a massive achievement for me, doing 2 in one day, because I can rarely last 2 rounds. In boxing, though, I'm talking about boxing, which for me has become a new sport, it's a new hobby of mine since the COVID period. I felt like getting into boxing was good for not only for my physical well-being, but also good for my mental well-being. Not to say that I'm any good, I'm a happy chap, I'm not mean, right? But I've got a mean right. And always try to mean right. But the reason why I love boxing is because as a sport, I feel like there's so many good lessons, so many good themes, so many good quotes that we can take from it. Take, for example, Rocky. Rocky once said that it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forwards. I found that very profound. I found that so profound, in fact, that I included that clip in my final year dissertation, which I got published. Now, I'm not too sure if I was allowed to do it because of trademark and copyright, so Sylvester Stallone, if you're watching, I apologize. Maybe my people can talk to your people and get their payment made, I don't know. But I found that quote very profound. Or take Mike Tyson, for example. Mike Tyson once said that everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Again, quite profound. Made me want to hold my mouth hearing that. Quite profound. Now, I'm not one to necessarily want to disagree publicly with Mike Tyson. They call him Iron Mike at the end of the day. And if he's Iron Mike, I'm probably like Teaspoon Coyote. So I don't want to argue Mike Tyson. But I feel like he missed out on one key element when he said that quote. And I'll explain why. You see, in 2020, I became an uncle again. My sister gave birth to a boy. I got a nephew. And I say again because I got a niece. And in fact, it's actually her birthday today. It's her birthday right now. Was that a cheer? Oh, thank you. She's going to love that. Thank you. So she's turned 8 today, so I've got a niece and I've also got a nephew. But I'll never forget when my sister introduced me to her partner. She said, yeah, Kayode, my partner, he's a professional MMA UFC fighter. I'm like, damn. My sister goes out with a professional MMA UFC fighter? I said like FFS, LOL, WTF, BRB. I didn't want no part of it. Professional MMA fighting. No wonder I got into boxing. I need to step my game up. But the reason why I love life is because sometimes in life, don't you find it's interesting that some of the biggest people who can have the most profound impact on you can sometimes come from the people who you least expect? Now, I know you're at graduation, so you ain't necessarily writing notes, but if you were to write notes, I'd want you to underline that. Sometimes they come from people who you least expect. The key word there being expect. Now, the reason I say that is because when I was going through quite a difficult period in my life, both professionally and personally, he was the main person who came to my rescue almost, the person who had the biggest impact on my life. And over this short time that we have today, during this graduation, I want to share with you a few tips that I learned from him. That if you grasp it today, I promise you that when you leave this graduation hall, you're going to change your life profoundly. So let's get ready, let's get into it. Now, when I said to him, things were going on, he said to me, okay, Kayode, you know what? Let's go on a walk. Let's go through the park, let's go on a walk. So we sat down on the bench and, I was explaining everything that was going on at the time, both professionally and personally. And, he was a good listener. He weren't, when you speak to your friends about a problem and your friends are like, what? You should leave him? No, leave her. Or don't do that business. No, he didn't do that. He was just listening very politely. Then he said to me, Kayode, what do you notice about that tree over there? I'm like, big man, like which one? We're in a park, like which tree are you talking about? He said, that tree. And I said, I'm not a dendrophiliac. I don't necessarily have an attraction to trees, but I'm sure that is an attractive tree. If that tree was to meet that tree, I'm sure there might be some kind of attraction. I don't know. But he said to me specifically, no, Kayode, what do you notice about the leaves? And at the time, it was in autumn, right? So what happens in autumn? the leaves fall. In fact, I love the Americans, they don't even call it autumn, they call it fall. I always wonder how they came up with that. It's like, oh no, the summer season's finished. What should we call the next season? I don't know, what are the leaves doing? They're falling, great. We're going to call this season fall. I don't know, I think that's how they did it. But anyway, so it's in autumn, and the leaves were falling. So I said to him, yeah, the leaves are falling. He said, precisely, but notice the way that the leaves are falling. They're at mercy of the wind as to which direction they can go. They are limited to how they can control their destiny. I was like, right, interesting. Then he said to me, what do you notice about the trunk of the tree? I said, yeah, that's a very sturdy trunk. He said, precisely. Kayode, from listening to you, it's very clear to me that you are like the leaves. You are swayed by external circumstances. You are not being in control of your destiny right now. I need you to be more like the trunk of the tree, solid, anchored, standing for what you believe in. I said, you know what, you're right. Because picture this, right, coming off The Apprentice, I kid you not, I was receiving no less than 1,000 messages a day across Facebook, Instagram DMs, LinkedIn, you name it. I was getting messages from everywhere, like 1,000 plus a day, easy, and that was probably on a bad day. And we're always told, you've got to capitalize on opportunity, make the most of it. And I found myself like the leaves, being swayed by external circumstances. So I realized that I need to be more like the trunk of the tree, anchored to what I believe in. So I encourage you from this first lesson that when you leave these doors today, don't be swayed by the external circumstances. That could be your family, that could be your friends, your spouse, whatever. Don't be swayed like the leaves. Be anchored like the trunk of the tree. Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for what it is that you want to do, and be who it is that you want to be. I was like, right. And that's right for proud. I was like, a round of applause again. I love that. But I might as well take a sip of water while you're clapping, right? I feel like we can do this in unison. So I was like, right, that's an interesting lesson. I said, what else you got for me then? He said, well, on the back of the leaves. He said, Kayode, my sister's partner said to me, Kayode, it's very clear to me that your happiness is now coming from external. But you need to always make sure that your happiness comes from within. Don't rely on your job. Don't rely on your career. Don't rely on graduation. Don't rely on anything else to determine your happiness. Your happiness should always come from within you. Why? Because if it comes from within you, no one can take that away. Your job can go, career go, money comes and goes. But if you make your happiness come from within you, you're more likely to stay happily for eternity. And the final thing I want to give you that he told me was this. He said to me, Kayode, you know I used to be a professional MMA UFC fighter, right? I was like, yes! Wicked, we're going to go kick some ass. We're going to go get him. I was thinking about all the people who did me wrong for the past 24 months. I was like, yeah, I've got a UFC fighter now. What? Who wants them? Who wants it? I was thinking even back to year 9 when Jacob took my Bunsen burner. I was like, Jacob, remember when you took my Bunsen burner? What? He was like, no, Kayode. As a UFC fighter or MMA fighter, he said to me, what do you think is the hardest strike that I received from my opponent? And I'm like, boy, this is MMA. Like, you can get hit with an elbow. You might get hit with a knee. Or, I mean, you might even get hit with a chin. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I remember seeing Crimson Chin on Nickelodeon. That chin can be lethal. I remember when we were younger, right, we used to go in each other's heads and go like, waggle, waggle, waggle. And them things kind of hurt. So I said to him, is the hardest strike to chin? He goes to me, no. He said, any punch that you see coming, you can embrace it. You can prepare for it. And I knew that to be true myself, because when I started going sparring myself, shouts out to my coach, Paul Holland, I remember when he put the head guard on me for the first time, and he told me that when the punch comes, Kayode, you got to lean into it, and embrace it. I was like, okay, cool. I mean, it didn't work for me. I went into the ring, leaned into it, and I had my arse handed out to me on the floor. That didn't work for me, so, I mean, I don't know how true that was in boxing. But anyway, he said that any punch you see coming, you can prepare for. However, it's the punch that you least expect that can hurt you the most. I was like, right, interesting. So it's the punch that I least expect that can hurt me the most. And again, I knew this to be true. Because for all of us, not just me, what was the biggest unexpected punch that all of us faced in recent times over the past 24 months? COVID. Man, I remember in January of 2020, I was planning my event. I'm not only a speaker, I have an events business too. I was planning my event, January 2020, to happen in March 2020. I was hearing about COVID happening in other parts of the world. I was like, yeah, whatever. The event is still going ahead. Got to March 2020, only 5 people turned up. And I was one of the 5. I made up 20%. I mean, even in my speaking business, I remember signing my biggest contract in the February of 2020. I was like, yeah. March 2020 came, and they pulled it from me. I was like, oh man, this COVID thing is really real. I mean, I got the contract back in the end. Don't get it twisted. I was like, don't come at me, but don't give me my contract. I got it back in the end. But that was the unexpected punch that I faced. Now, going back to Mike Tyson, like I said, he said that everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. But no, Mike. It's not that any punch, it's not that your plan is ruined by punching in the mouth. It's the unexpected punch that ruins you. Because any good plan, you have a contingency plan, you have a risk assessment, but it's those unexpected punches that can affect us, that can ruin us. So now as I close, and as you're about to embark on this graduation, to go out there in the arena of life, make sure that you're gum shielded in, your boxing gloves on, and remember those lessons. Firstly, don't be like the leaves. Be like the trunk of a tree. Be solidified, anchored for who you are, what it is that you want to do, and what it is that you want to be. Secondly, remember that your happiness should always come from within. Don't rely on external things to make you happy. And finally, remember that it's the unexpected punch that can hurt us the most. I've been Kayode Damali. Ding, ding, ding. The next round of your life is about to begin. Gracias por escuchar. Thank you for listening.